I woke up on a bench in the service area, a discarded newspaper draped over me. The sky was still dark at 4 in the morning, the service area's pale lights casting a stark glow over the empty parking lot. I sat up, my head buzzing, and it took me about 10 seconds to remember why I was here. Yesterday was my 18th birthday. Mom said she would take me to see the sea. Her eyes were red when she said it, as if she had made up her mind with great resolve. She said, "Iris, I'm sorry, I've never taken you out to play all these years. This time, let's go to the seaside. I've taken leave from work, and we'll have a good 3 days together." I was stunned, the chopsticks in my hand nearly falling to the floor. Because the last time she was this gentle with me was when I ranked third in the county in the high school entrance exam. I nodded almost tremblingly, then spent the entire night packing. I folded my swimsuit 3 times, put the sunscreen into a waterproof bag, and even bought a new sun hat, pink, because my mom said I looked good in pink. When we set off at 5 in the morning, Dad didn't come to see me off. I said it was normal. He never really gave me much anyway. My mom was driving, and I sat in the passenger seat as old songs played along the way. She hummed a few lines, then suddenly stopped and said, "Your little sister had a fever again last night, 38.6 degrees. I didn't say anything. Your dad's home alone, and I don't know if he can take good care of her." I said, "Then maybe we just won't go." My mom tapped her fingers on the steering wheel a few times and said, "We're going. How can we not go when we've already agreed to it?" Then she kept driving, kept humming a tune, as if nothing had happened. We drove for 4 hours on the road and stopped at a service area to rest. My mom said she needed to use the restroom and told me to wait in the car. I waited for 10 minutes, felt a bit stuffy, so I got out to get some fresh air. Another 10 minutes passed, and my mom still hadn't come back. I called her, but no one answered. I tried again, still no answer. I figured the signal might be bad, so I looked around the service area, restrooms, convenience store, restaurant. She was nowhere to be seen. Then I walked to the parking lot and realized our car was gone. That silver Toyota Corolla, with the Doryman sticker I put on the trunk when I was a kid, both the car and her had vanished. I stood there, still holding my phone, the screen showing my mom's call log, 7 missed calls. When I dialed the 8th, she finally answered. The other end of the line was very quiet, too quiet to sound like she was driving. My mom's voice sounded a bit guilty. "Iris, your little sister has a fever again. Your dad said he can't handle it alone, so I have to go back." "Then why didn't you call me?" "I saw you were sleeping, so I didn't." I wasn't sleeping. I sat on the bench waiting for her, until it was almost dark. But I didn't say that. I just asked, "What about my luggage?" There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. "Mom's coming to pick you up," she said. "Wait at the service area for a bit." "How long is a bit?" "Very soon." Then she hung up. I waited for that little while. From afternoon to evening, from evening to the early hours of the morning. The restaurant at the service area closed and reopened, then closed again. The gas station lights stayed on all night. I sat on the bench, watching car after car pull in and drive away, and not a single person who got out of them was my mom. At 2 in the morning, I came across my sister's post. It was a 9-grid photo album she had posted herself. The first picture showed her lying in bed, a fever patch on her forehead, her lips pale, but her eyes bright. The caption read, "Got a fever again, feeling terrible." The second photo was a picture of my parents together. My mom was smiling, and my dad had his arm around her shoulder. The caption read, "At least I have mom and dad with me." The third photo was a bowl of porridge, captioned, "Made by dad himself." The remaining 6 photos were all selfies. I didn't like it. I didn't comment either. I flipped my phone over and placed it face down on my knee, staring up at the pale white light above me. Suddenly, I let out a faint smile. I remember my pink sun hat, still sitting in the paper bag on the back seat of my mom's car. I remember my swimsuit, folded 3 times, and the sunscreen packed in a waterproof pouch. I remember how firm my mom's voice was when she said, "How can you not go when you've already promised?" At 4:40 in the morning, I finally flagged down a bus heading back to the city. Before getting on, I sent my mom a message, "I'm coming back, no need to pick me up." She replied instantly, "Okay, take care on the way." She didn't ask how I got back. She didn't ask if I'd eaten. She didn't ask if I was scared being alone. Not a single word. The bus ride took 6 hours. I got home at 11 in the morning, the sun blazing, making me dizzy. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open and walked in. The TV in the living room was on, playing a cartoon. The sofa was a mess of blankets and pillows, a half-eaten fruit platter sat on the coffee table, and there was a cup of bubble tea left unfinished. My sister Chloe was lying on the sofa, wearing my pajamas. My favorite pair, the cream-colored cotton ones with a little bunny embroidered on the collar. Mom bought them for me last Chinese New Year. I'd been saving them, folding them neatly and keeping them at the very bottom of my closet. She was wearing my pajamas, wrapped in a blanket, scrolling through her phone. When she saw me come in, she gave a slight smile. Not the kind of smile that said, "Sister, you're back," but the kind that said, "Look, I've won again." "Sis, you're back." Her voice was soft and syrupy, dripping with a sweetness that made my skin crawl. "Sorry, I got a fever again. Mom and Dad were worried, so I came back. Don't be mad, okay?" I didn't say a word. I walked into the living room and set my bag down on the floor. My mom came out of the kitchen holding a bowl of freshly washed strawberries. She paused for a moment when she saw me, then her face lit up with that "I was just about to call you" expression. "Back already? Did you have a smooth trip?" "Smooth. Have you eaten? Want me to make you a bowl of noodles?" "No need." I walked into the bedroom and closed the door. Then I froze. My room, no, this was no longer my room. Chloe's clothes were piled on the bed, her comic book scattered across the floor, and her makeup and mirror sat on my desk. The poster I had taped to the wall was half torn off, the remaining half hanging crookedly, like a flag of defeat. The diary I kept on my nightstand had been opened, lying flat on a certain page, with a milk teacup stain on it. I stood at the doorway for about 5 seconds. Then I turned around and walked out, heading to the kitchen. My mom was washing strawberries. When she saw me come in, her hands paused for a moment. "Mom, what's going on with my room?" "Oh, Chloe said your room has great sunlight. She's been running a fever these past few days and wanted to soak up some sun, so she moved in there," my mom said casually, as if it were as simple as swapping out a blanket. "She'll move back once she's better. Just bear with it for now." "She's wearing my pajamas." "Oh, that," my mom said with a slight smile. "Chloe said yours looked nice, so I gave them to her. It's not like you wear them much anyway." "Did you ask me before giving them away?" My mom's expression shifted. Not to guilt, but to irritation. "It's just a pajama, is it really that big of a deal?" She scooped the strawberries out of the water and let them drain. "Chloe's not in good health, can't you just give in to her a little? She suffered so much since she was little. You're healthy and well, what's one less pajama?" I didn't answer. I turned and walked to the living room, flipping out the collar of the pajama Chloe was wearing to reveal the embroidery on the inside. It was a tiny, tiny gardenia flower. "When my mom bought this pajama for me," she said, "the gardenia is your name, so this one is yours. Your sister's has little daisies, they're different." Chloe's pajama had little daisies. She had worn the wrong one. No, she didn't wear the wrong one. She deliberately put on mine, because she knew I'd be angry when I saw it, and my mom would definitely take her side. I turned the collar over to show her. "Mom, this one is mine. Hers has little daisies on it." My mom glanced at it, a flicker of unease crossing her face, but it was quickly replaced by another expression. "So what? She wore the wrong one, that's all." Can't you just take it back? I'll take it back. I reached out and pulled the nightgown off Chloe. Chloe let out a scream. Not from pain, it was the kind of scream that was carefully orchestrated, perfectly timed. Then she clutched her chest and slid off the sofa. My mother's scream was even louder than Chloe's. She rushed over, shoved me aside, crouched down to hold Chloe, stroking her face and calling her name, her voice trembling. Chloe! Chloe, what's wrong with you? My dad rushed out of the study, phone still in hand, and his face went pale the moment he saw Chloe on the floor. What happened? She took Chloe's clothes again. My mom turned her head and glared at me, her eyes red, as if I had committed some unforgivable crime. It's just a nightgown, was it worth putting your hands on her? I didn't lay a hand on her. I just took back my own clothes. But nothing I said mattered, because Chloe was already lying on the floor with her eyes closed, her lips pale, her breathing rapid, her whole body trembling. Her performance was flawless, every single time, flawless. My father shot me a look, one filled with disappointment, anger, and something I'd seen 10,000 times before, that expression that said, "Why do you have to make things so hard for me?" Then he bent down, picked up Chloe, and walked out the door without looking back. My mother followed behind him, but before she left, she turned and glanced at me. If anything happens to Chloe, I'll never forgive you. The door slammed shut. The living room fell silent. The TV was still on, with cartoon characters babbling and singing. The strawberries on the coffee table were still dripping with water, their red light refracting in the glass bowl. I looked down at the pajamas in my hand. Cream white cotton, with a little rabbit embroidered on the collar and a small gardenia flower on the back. Mine. I stood there clutching it for a moment, then walked into the bedroom and cleared Chloe's things out of my room, one by one. Clothes tossed into the hallway, comic books stacked by the door, cosmetics and mirrors packed into a cardboard box. My diary. The imprint of a milk teacup still stained the page, the ink blurred by watermarks, like a dark flower blooming. I flipped through it, and the page that opened was from 3 months ago. Today, Mom forgot to pay my tuition again. The homeroom teacher called me out in class, saying I was the only one in the whole school who hadn't paid. I stood at the front of the classroom, and everyone was looking at me. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. When I got home and told Mom, she said she was busy taking Chloe to the doctor and forgot. Then she gave me the money and told me to go pay it myself. I went. Alone. I closed the diary and put it in the drawer. Then I peeled off the half-torn poster, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it into the trash can. After doing all this, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the empty room. On the wall, there were traces of glue left by poster strips, grayish-white, streak after streak, like scars. The phone vibrated once. It was a message from Mom, with a photo attached. In the photo, Chloe was lying on a hospital bed, and 4 needle in the back of her hand, her face pale, flashing a peace sign at the camera. Mom captioned it, "The doctor said she needs to be hospitalized for a few days of observation. Chloe is very brave. Mom is here with you." No mention of me. No mention of that pajama top. No mention of that "if anything happens to Chloe, I'll never forgive you." As if nothing had ever happened. As if I didn't even exist. I stared at that photo for a few seconds, then locked the screen and tossed the phone onto the bed. I was hungry. I went to the kitchen, cooked a bowl of noodles, added 2 eggs, and sat in the empty living room, eating alone. The noodles were scalding hot, and I ate them quickly, so hot that tears came to my eyes. But I told myself it was because the noodles were too hot, not for any other reason. On the second day of Chloe's hospitalization, my mom transferred 2,000 yuan to me. The note read, "Buy yourself some new clothes, don't fight with your sister over them." I didn't accept it. The transfer automatically bounced back after 24 hours. My mom transferred it again, with a note that said, "What exactly do you want?" I still didn't accept it. Then she called. "Why won't you take the money?" I don't need it. What do you mean by that? Exactly what I said. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. My mother's breathing was heavy, as if she was holding back her temper. Iris, don't be like this. Your sister is still in the hospital, and I'm already exhausted. Can't you be a little more considerate of me? I'm considerate of you, but who's considerate of me? What kind of talk is that? My mother's voice turned sharp. From the time you were little, you've had the best food and the best clothes. Have we ever shortchanged you? Your sister is sick, so what's wrong with us paying her a little more attention? You're healthy and well, what do you have to complain about? I'm healthy because I don't have heart disease, it's not something I chose. You. Mom, I'm not saying you shouldn't care about her. I just want to ask, do you still remember that I'm your child too? There was another long silence on the other end of the line. Then my mom said, "You're too sensitive." I hung up the phone. That night, I was home alone and dug out an old photo album from a long time ago. The cover of the album had yellowed, and the photos inside had faded. On the first page was a picture from when I was 1 month old, my mom holding me, my dad standing beside her, both of them smiling. On the second page, I was 1 year old, my mom crouching on the ground, steadying me as I walked, while my dad clapped behind us. The third page was my 3rd birthday. A big cake sat in front of me, my mom helping me blow out the candles, my dad holding the camera. Every photo has me in it, and them too. Chloe wasn't around back then. I was still their only child. Then flipping to the middle, Chloe appeared. On her first day at our house, she wore a red dress, her hair in 2 little braids, standing timidly at our doorstep, peeking inside. My mom crouched in front of her, holding her hand, smiling even brighter than when she held me. My dad stood behind, also smiling. As I flipped further, my photos became fewer and fewer. Occasionally, 1 or 2 would appear, but I was always in a corner or at the edge of the frame, as if I'd been snapped by accident, not deliberately photographed. The last dozen or so pages were all Chloe. Her smiling, her crying, her in a hospital gown flashing a peace sign, her making a wish by a birthday cake, her holding an award, her riding a bike for the first time, her on her first day of elementary school. Every photo has my mom, my dad. It's as if they're the real family. And I'm just an extra person, someone who accidentally ended up living in this house, taking up a bed, eating a few bowls of rice. I closed the photo album and shoved it back to the deepest corner of the cabinet. Then I opened my computer and started looking up university admission score lines. I'm already in my senior year of high school. In less than a year, I can leave this home. Chloe was in the hospital for 5 days. The day I came home, my dad opened 2 bottles of drinks and said it was to celebrate Chloe's recovery. My mom had cooked a whole table of dishes, fish, meat, shrimp, spread out in abundance. Chloe sat right in the middle, wearing a new dress, her hair tied up in 2 buns. She looked full of energy, nothing like someone who had just been discharged from the hospital. "Sis, try this shrimp. Mom made it especially for you." Chloe smiled and pushed the plate of shrimp toward me, her tone as gentle as a devoted little sister. I glanced at the plate of shrimp but didn't touch it. Because I don't eat shrimp. I never have since I was a child. I'm allergic to shrimp, it gives me a rash, and in severe cases, it makes it hard to breathe. My mom knows this, and so does my dad, because they were the ones who took me to the hospital when I had allergic reactions. Yet this plate of shrimp was still set on the table, right in the center, within Chloe's easiest reach. "Iris, go ahead and eat," my mom said, picking up a shrimp and placing it in my bowl. "Your sister specifically asked for this dish. Do her a favor." I stared at the shrimp in my bowl without saying a word. Then I picked it up with my chopsticks and put it back on the plate. "I'm allergic." My mom froze for a moment. Not the kind of freeze that says I forgot, but the kind that says here we go again. "Just one, it's fine," she said. "Don't be so dramatic." Chloe watched me from the side, a glint in her eyes. I knew that glint all too well. It was the light of a victor. Every time she won, that light shone in her eyes. I said nothing more. I stood up, went to the kitchen, and served myself a bowl of plain rice, eating it with pickled vegetables. No one spoke at the dinner table. But I could feel their gazes, some angry, some disappointed, some gloating. I finished the bowl of rice, washed the dishes, and returned to my room. The moment I closed the door, I heard laughter from the living room. Chloe's laughter, my mom's laughter, my dad's laughter. They were laughing heartily, as if nothing had ever happened. I leaned against the door, took a deep breath, then sat down at my desk and opened the math exam paper. I worked on the problems for 3 hours. By the time it was 1 in the morning, I had finally finished the paper. Full marks were 150, and I estimated my score to be around 140. I tucked the paper into a folder, turned off the light, and lay down on the bed. Outside the window, insects were chirping, one after another, as if calling my name. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about many things, yet nothing at all. In the end, I turned over, closed my eyes, and said one sentence to myself: less than a year to go. The turning point came at a moment I never expected. It was a Saturday, and my mom, for once, took the initiative to offer to take me shopping for clothes. "Iris, are you free this afternoon? Mom will take you to the mall and buy you a couple of new outfits." I was in the middle of writing an English essay, and at those words, the tip of my pen paused. "No need, I don't need any clothes." "Buy it," my mom said, her tone unusually gentle. "Look, you wear your school uniform every day. A girl like you should have a few decent outfits." Before I could answer, Chloe laughed. "Mom, didn't you say you'd take me to see that art exhibition this afternoon?" My mom's expression shifted. I'd seen that look countless times. When she had to choose between her 2 daughters, the muscles in her face would twitch slightly, her gaze would waver, as if she were quickly weighing the pros and cons in her mind. "We can go to the art exhibition another day," my mom said. "Let's take your sister shopping for clothes first." Chloe stopped smiling. Her lips pressed into a thin line as she stared at my mom for 2 seconds, then lowered her head and started scrolling through her phone. I thought that was settled. But I knew it wasn't that simple, because Chloe had never lost before. Sure enough, at 1 in the afternoon, just as we were about to head out, Chloe suddenly slid off the sofa. Her movement was light, slow, as if rehearsed countless times, landing precisely within my mom's line of sight. "Chloe!" My mom dropped her bag and rushed over. Chloe's eyes were closed, her face pale, her lips purple, her breathing rapid and shallow. Her hand clutched the hem of my mom's shirt, her knuckles white, like a drowning person grasping at the last piece of driftwood. My dad ran out of the bedroom, took one look at her, and without a word went to grab the car keys. My mom held her in her arms and looked up at me. There was no accusation in that look, no anger, only an emotion I had never seen before. It was guilt. But I no longer cared. I stood there, watching them frantically bundle Chloe into the car, watching my dad start the engine, watching my mom sit in the back seat holding her, watching that silver Toyota Corolla reverse out of the garage and disappear at the end of the alley. Then I went back inside, picked up my phone, and sent my mom a message. "Mom, I'm going to the mall by myself." She didn't reply. I changed my clothes and walked out the door. The mall wasn't far from my home, just 4 bus stops away. I sat by the window, watching the streets and pedestrians outside, and suddenly everything felt absurd. I was 18 years old. My biological mother had abandoned me time and again for an adopted daughter. And yet, I still felt hurt. The mall was crowded, filled with parents shopping with their children. A little girl held her mother's hand, pointing at a dress in the window and saying, "Mommy, I want this." Her mother smiled and replied, "Okay, Mommy will buy it for you." I stood there for a while, then turned and walked away. I didn't buy any clothes. I spent an entire afternoon sitting in the bookstore at the mall, finishing Yu Hua's To Live from cover to cover. After reading it, I suddenly felt, if Fugue could survive through all that misery, what was my little problem compared to that? That evening, my parents came back with Chloe. Faster than I expected. In the past, when she faked being sick, she'd stay in the hospital for at least 3 days. This time, it only took half a day. It seemed my mom was starting to have her doubts too. But when they came back, I was in the living room eating an orange. My mom paused mid-step when she saw me. "Iris, did you buy the clothes?" "Didn't buy it." "Why didn't you buy it?" "Didn't feel like it." My mom stood there, a look of "what exactly do you want from me?" spreading across her face. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but then held back. My dad stood behind her, holding a hospital bag in his hand, his expression not looking good. He glanced at me, then let out a sigh. "Iris, your sister almost had another incident today. Your mom's already exhausted enough, so don't make things worse." I shoved the orange segment into my mouth, chewed it slowly, and then said, "I know. I'm not making things worse." "Then can't you just—" "Dad," I interrupted him. "I only have one thing to say." The living room fell silent. Chloe was lying on the sofa with her eyes closed, but I knew she was listening. "Ever since I was little, you told me to give in to her, and I did. You told me to be considerate of her, and I was. You left me alone at the service station, and I didn't make a fuss. She wore my pajamas, stayed in my room, and read my diary, and I still didn't make a fuss. You think I'm causing trouble, so I'll stop." I tossed the orange peel into the trash can and stood up. "From now on, you can do whatever you want with her. It's none of my business." After saying that, I went back to my room. That night, I heard arguing coming from the living room. My mom said I was getting more and more out of line, my dad said she should also think about how I feel, Chloe was crying, saying it was all her fault, that she shouldn't even be alive. Then came the sound of a door slamming, then crying, then silence. I put on my headphones and listened to music all night long. The next morning, when I got up, no one was home. On the coffee table, there was a note in my mom's handwriting, taking Chloe to grandma's for a few days. You'll have to feed yourself. I crumpled the note into a ball and tossed it into the trash. Then I did something I had never done before. I sent my dad a very long message. Dad, there are a few things I want to tell you. First, Chloe's heart condition isn't that serious, she's been faking it every time. You both know it deep down, you just don't want to admit it. Second, you feel like you owe her, so you've given her all your love. But have you ever stopped to think that you owe me too? Third, I'm not your punching bag, nor am I your burden. All these years, I paid for my own tuition by working part-time jobs. I bought my own clothes, I cooked my own meals. Aside from giving me a roof over my head, what else have you given me? Fourth, you haven't celebrated a single birthday for me since I turned 5. My birthday is June 17th, not the day Chloe was adopted. Fifth, I've decided to apply to universities outside this city, the farther, the better. I'm not coming back after this. Don't look for me. After sending that message, I switched my phone to Do Not Disturb, locked the door, and went to the city library alone. I sat there the whole day, finishing 3 sets of math papers. When I came home in the evening, I turned on my phone and saw 37 missed calls. 12 from my dad, 25 from my mom. No messages. I set my phone on the table and went to the kitchen to cook myself a bowl of noodles. Halfway through eating, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw my mother standing at the entrance, her eyes red and swollen, her hair a mess, as if she had been crying for a long time. She was holding a bag, and inside the bag was a pink coat. Iris, her voice was hoarse, Mom bought this for you at the mall. Try it on and see if it fits. I looked at the coat and suddenly felt very tired. Mom, you don't have to do this. Mom knows she was wrong, her tears fell, drop by drop, splashing onto the bag. Mom hasn't treated you well all these years, I know that. But you're my own daughter, how could I not love you? Do you love me? Of course I do. Then why do you choose her every single time? My mother opened her mouth, but no words came out. Answer me, I said. For 18 years, you've chosen her every single time. You chose her when she faked being sick, you chose her when she cried, you chose her when she said she felt unwell. Where were you when I was sick? Where were you when I won an award? Where were you when my teacher praised me? Where were you when I was being bullied? I waited for you at the service area for 13 hours, my voice was so calm it even scared me. You said you'd come pick me up in a little while, and I waited 13 hours. Where were you? You were at home cooking porridge for her. My mother's tears flowed even harder. She shoved the bag into my hands, turned around, and ran off. I stood at the door, watching her silhouette disappear at the stairwell. Then I closed the door, set the bag on the coffee table, and went back to the dining table to finish the bowl of noodles that had already gone cold. In the days that followed, everything changed. My mom started calling me on her own, asking if I'd eaten, if I was warm enough, if I needed anything. My dad began sending me money, not the compensatory kind of transfers, but regular, fixed amounts, the way real parents would. After Chloe came back from Grandma's house, she became much quieter. She no longer wore my clothes, no longer used my things, no longer pretended to be sick in front of my mom. She even started talking to me first, in that cautious, tentative tone, as if she were trying to appease someone who could explode at any moment. But I felt nothing anymore. Not forgiveness, not unforgiveness. Just a complete, bone-deep indifference. I'm not eating my mom's cooking anymore, because she always makes what Chloe likes, and then says, just make do with it. I didn't accept the money my dad transferred, because I don't need it anymore. I found a weekend part-time job handing out flyers at the mall, $80 on a day. It's not much, but it's enough for me to eat. A month before the college entrance exam, my mom knocked on my door. She stood at the doorway, holding a bowl of soup in her hands, with that ingratiating smile on her face. Iris, Mom made you some soup. Drink it while it's hot. I glanced at the bowl of soup. It was pork rib soup. I don't eat pork ribs. Never have, since I was a child. Because once, while eating pork ribs, I got a fish bone stuck in my throat. No, pork ribs don't have bones like that, but that time after eating them, my throat hurt for 3 days. Later, I went to the hospital, and the doctor said I was allergic to pork. From then on, I stopped eating pork. My mother knew about it, she was the one who took me to the hospital. But she still made pork rib soup. Mom, I don't eat pork ribs. My mother's expression froze for a moment. Oh, I forgot, she said, setting the soup on the table. Then what do you like to eat? I'll make it for you tomorrow. No need. I closed the door and didn't drink the soup. That night, I heard her crying in the living room with my dad. Why won't she just forgive me? I didn't catch what my dad said, but the gist of it was give her some time. But time doesn't solve the problem. Because the problem was never time, it was that every time, she chose someone else. On the day of the college entrance exam, my mom said she wanted to take me to the test site. I said no. She said she had to. I said, why don't you give Chloe a ride? Isn't she taking an exam today too? My mom paused for a moment, then said Chloe is a grade lower, she doesn't have an exam today. Oh, I said, then I'll just go by myself. As I walked out the door, my mom stood on the balcony, gripping the railing and watching me. I could feel her gaze, but I didn't look back. The day the college entrance exam ended, I walked out of the testing site and saw my mom standing at the school gate, holding a bouquet of flowers. They were gardenias. White, a big bunch, wrapped in light pink paper. Iris, congratulations on finishing the exam. She handed me the flowers, her eyes red, as if she had just been crying. I took the flowers and said thank you. Then I walked over to the trash can and placed them inside. My mom stood there, her face pale. You. Mom, I turned around, looking into her eyes, do you know what my favorite flower is? She was stunned. "It's gardenia," I said, "because my name is Iris." "But have you ever bought me one?" "No. You bought Chloe lilies, roses, and baby's breath, but you've never bought me a gardenia." "Today you bought one, but it's too late. Because in these 18 years, you've had countless chances to buy it, and you never did. You bought it today because you're afraid of losing me, not because you wanted to give it to me." My mom's tears fell. But this time I didn't soften. The day the college entrance exam results came out, I was working at the mall. My phone buzzed countless times, all calls from my dad and mom. I didn't answer. After my shift, I opened the score-checking system and saw my results. 682 points. Top 200 in the province. I stood at the entrance of the mall, staring at the numbers on my phone screen, and suddenly let out a faint smile. Not because I was happy. It was because I could finally leave. I applied to a university thousands of miles away. The day the admission letter arrived, my mother cried. She cried so hard, as if she wanted to drain all the tears of the past 18 years in one go. "Iris, can't you apply to a school closer to home? Mom will treat you well from now on. I promise I won't play favorites anymore, okay?" I watched her tears, feeling completely calm inside. "Mom, you've said that so many times before. This time it's for real." "You say that every time." My mom opened her mouth, but no words came out. Chloe stood in the corner of the living room, watching us, saying nothing. She was 17 this year, no longer the little girl who could hold everyone hostage with her heart condition. She had grown up, and she understood that some things could be faked for a while, but not forever. Still, she said nothing. Because she knew that every word she spoke would only make things worse. On the day I left, both my mom and dad came to see me off. They stood at the entrance of the train station's waiting hall, watching me go through security, watching me carry my suitcase toward the platform. My mom called out, "Iris, call me when you get there." I didn't look back, just raised my hand and waved. As the train started moving, I received a message from Chloe. "Sis, I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because this "I'm sorry" came far too late. So late that by the time I heard it, I felt nothing at all. College life turned out better than I had imagined. No one told me to give in to someone else, no one said to me, "Your sister's not in good health," and no one took my things away only to blame me for being petty. I made new friends, joined a club, went to the library to read on weekends, and occasionally went out to eat with my roommate. My mom calls me every week, asking if I've eaten, if I'm cold, and if I have enough money. I say yes, I'll put on more clothes if I'm cold, and I've eaten. She asks, and I answer, never saying a word more than necessary. Once, she suddenly started crying on the other end of the line, sobbing so hard she could barely catch her breath. "Iris, Mom really knows she was wrong. Can you forgive me?" I held my phone, silent for a long time. Then I said, "Mom, I don't not forgive you. I just don't need you anymore." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Do you know the difference between the two?" She didn't answer. "Back when I needed you, you were with her. Now that I don't need you anymore, no matter how good you are to me, it's just icing on the cake. But my cake is already baked, I don't need you to add the icing." "Iris." "Mom, I have to go to class now, bye." I hung up the phone, set it on the desk, and opened my textbook. The sunlight outside was beautiful, shining on the pages and making the words gleam. I suddenly remembered that year when I was 18, sitting alone on a bench at a service station for 13 hours. Back then, I thought that was the loneliest day of my life. But now, looking back, it was actually the best day. Because from that day on, I finally understood that the only person in this world who would never abandon me is myself. During the winter break of my sophomore year, I didn't go home. My mom called several times urging me to come back, saying she had made my favorite dishes, that Chloe missed me too, and that she had bought me new bedsheets, pink, my favorite color. I told her I found a winter break job and couldn't come back. She was silent on the other end of the line for a long time, then said, "Then Mom will come see you." I said it wasn't necessary. But she came anyway. That afternoon, I was working a part-time shift at a bubble tea shop near the school gate when I suddenly heard someone call my name. I looked up and saw my mother standing at the shop entrance, holding a large bag, with my father behind her. Their hair had turned much grayer, especially my father's. His temples were almost completely white. My mother had lost a lot of weight, and the wrinkles on her face were as deep as if carved by a knife. "Iris." She called my name, her voice trembling, her eyes rimmed with red. I stepped out from behind the counter and stood before them. My dad handed me the bag, saying, "Your mom made this for you. Your favorites." I took the bag, opened it, and glanced inside. There were braised chicken legs, red braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, and a box of dumplings. All things I don't eat. My mom must have noticed my expression, and she quickly said, "Mom didn't know what you liked to eat. You never told me." I looked at her and smiled. "Mom, I told you before." "When?" "When I was 15, you asked me what I liked to eat, and I said I liked tomato scrambled eggs and stir-fried vegetables. You said okay, you'd make them for me next time. Then you turned around and made braised pork ribs for Chloe." My mom's face went pale. My dad sighed beside her and said, "Iris, let the past be the past." I watched the two of them, and suddenly felt a pang of sorrow. They had traveled 1,000 miles to see me, carrying large bags and small parcels, their hair grayed, aged, looking truly pitiful. But they still didn't know what I liked to eat. 18 years, and they still didn't know. "Dad, Mom," I said, "you should go back. I'm doing fine, no need to worry." "Iris." "I'm really fine." I handed the bag back to them and turned to go back into the shop. Through the glass door, I saw my mother standing there, her shoulders shaking as she cried. My father had his arm around her, saying something. But after standing there for a while, they still left. That night, I returned to the dormitory, lay down on the bed, and tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I remembered that when I was little, I was once the precious treasure they held in the palms of their hands. They took pictures of me, bought me toys, took me to the park, and bought me a cake for my birthday. Back then, I thought I was the happiest child in the world. Then Chloe came and everything changed. But I don't hate Chloe. She was just a child abandoned by her biological parents, adopted by a strange family, trying her best to survive in this home. She faked illnesses, she vied for affection, she snatched away all the attention and love, not because she was bad, but because she was afraid. Afraid of being abandoned again. And I was abandoned twice. Once by them and once by myself. I chose to leave, not because I didn't love them, but because I loved them too much to endure being abandoned one more time. There are some things in this world that wait for no one. Time, for instance. Growth, for instance. And the need someone has for you. When you choose another person time and time again, when you put her needs before mine over and over, when you repeatedly forget what I like to eat and what I don't, you are telling me one thing: you don't need me. If you don't need me, then I'm gone. Not dead, not hating you, just no longer needed. Just as you no longer need me. Later, I went to graduate school, found a job, and put down roots in another city. My mom still calls me, still sends me money, still asks when I'm coming home. I go back once in a while, stay for 2 days, and leave. Chloe is already married, moved to the neighboring province, and comes back once or twice a year. She looks good, a little heavier, with fine lines at the corners of her eyes when she smiles. She's no longer that sly, manipulative little girl she used to be. Whenever she sees me, she always calls me sis, with a cautious politeness in her tone, as if afraid of saying the wrong thing. One time, after she'd had too much to drink, she grabbed my hand and cried. "Sis, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I know I took a lot from you. I didn't mean to. I was just scared that Mom and Dad wouldn't want me, scared that I'd be abandoned all over again." I patted her hand and said it's okay, it's all in the past. And it truly was. Not forgiveness, not letting go, just that so much time had passed that I could no longer clearly remember what that pain felt like. Last year during the new year, I went home and stayed for 3 days. My mom cooked different dishes every day, asking what I liked to eat. I said anything was fine, and she said she'd make a little bit of everything. She made tomato scrambled eggs, stir-fried seasonal vegetables, braised pork ribs, sweet and sour fish, and garlic broccoli, filling the entire table. Pointing at a plate of tomato scrambled eggs, she said, "Didn't you say you liked this? Mom practiced it several times just for you. Give it a try." I took a bite. It was too salty. But I still finished it. My mom sat beside me, watching me eat, her eyes crinkling into a smile like a child's. My dad shot her a look from the side, signaling her to stop staring at me, but she wouldn't listen. She just kept watching me, as if afraid I'd vanish the moment she blinked. In that moment, it suddenly hit me, they had grown old. Truly old. So old that they could no longer hurt me, so old that they needed me to forgive them. The day I left, my mother saw me off at the station. She held my hand and refused to let go. "Iris, you're the one I've let down the most in this life." "Yeah. Do you hate me?" I thought for a moment, then said, "No." "Really?" "Really. I tried to hate you, but hating someone is too exhausting. I don't want to be tired anymore." My mother's tears fell, dripping onto the back of my hand, cold. "Then will you still come back in the future?" "Come back." "When?" "When you have time." She opened her mouth, as if to say something more, but the train station's announcement rang out. It was the boarding call for my train. I pulled my hand away, picked up my luggage, and walked through the ticket gate. Halfway there, I turned back and saw her still standing there, watching me through the railing. I smiled at her, then turned and walked away. As the train started moving, I leaned against the window, watching the city slowly recede into the distance. My phone buzzed, a message from my mom. "Iris, Mom is waiting for you to come back." I didn't reply. But I didn't delete it either. I knew I would go back eventually. Not because of forgiveness, not because of letting go, and not even because of love. Simply because, after all, they are my parents. And I am already strong enough. Strong enough to forgive or not to forgive. Strong enough to go back or not to go back. Strong enough to love them or not to love them. Strong enough that no matter how they treat me, I can live well, whole, and alone. This is the victory I have truly won.